If you care so much about the opinions of other people, so much so that you're sacrificing who you actually are for their approval, you're a loser. Sorry. Hey y'all, it's Megan May and this is Transparency, where we keep it real about our growing pains and all the beautiful moving parts of life that may not be the most glamorous, but shape us into who we are today. So if you're ready for some introspection and evolution, go ahead and lock in by hitting the subscribe button. And if what I says resonates with you, you can go ahead and leave me a like and or comment so I know we see each other. So today's episode is about standing on business, and the remainder of this episode will look a little bit different, well, a lot different, because I recorded this episode 2 weeks ago, and the audio for 15 minutes of the video, the original recording, sounds a mess. It was very staticky. I tried to clean it up and then it made me sound like I was underwater. It was really giving like Darth Vader. Like it just wasn't going to work. So I'm re-recording, not even the intro, but I'm basically now about to provide a synopsis of what the first 15 minutes of the video or the episode was talking about. So I pretty much was saying that we stand on business a lot of the times with others, you know, ensuring that we are holding our self-respect at high value. We're not allowing people to play in our face. And when we feel that we're not being valued or that someone is playing in our face, we walk away. But how often do we find ourselves engaging in distracting behavior or toxic habits, toxic relationships, all types of things that are sucking our energy and taking away our attention, that are in turn showing that we are not standing on business with ourselves? I feel we oftentimes cut ourselves a lot of slack for our slackness, and we excuse poor behavior, and we excuse, you know, the things that aren't serving us, that's not fostering us, that's not nurturing us, the things that are not bringing us any closer to our goals. We excuse those things and we tell ourselves like it's okay, or we tell ourselves we'll try again tomorrow. And you know, we pretty much give ourselves so many slaps on the wrist. But the same way that we stand on business when we feel like someone else isn't valuing our time, someone else isn't giving us the attention we deserve, someone else isn't pouring into us the way we're pouring into them, someone else isn't loving us the way that we know we deserve to be loved and the way that we might be loving them. The same way we cut those people off and we walk away because we know we deserve better is the same way that we need to enforce those same boundaries with ourselves to make sure that we're loving ourselves correctly and that we're standing on business, that we're not accepting the bare minimum from ourselves the same way that we wouldn't be accepting bare minimum from anyone else. So now I'm going to go ahead and proceed with the original recording of the video, but I hope you guys stay tuned because I had a lot to say and I offer a lot of perspective on what we can get rid of that's been holding us back. So as I just said, you do need to take inventory of your time and your energy and the attention that you're putting into other things, other people. Honestly, anything that's just depleting you of whatever you need to be able to show up as your best self for yourself every day. And for me, like, I was under the impression that I could show up in X amount of ways for whoever, whether it be my job, my ex-boyfriend, even friends that I've cut off recently, or not necessarily even cut off, but like distanced myself from recently. I was thinking like, oh, I can do this and still show up for myself in the ways that I need to. But realistically, time is a limited resource. And so that's impossible. And especially in cases where you find yourself pouring into others more than they're pouring into you, like, you really have to be honest when you audit how you're spending your time, energy, and resources. And resources can be anything. It could literally be your mind. It could be your money. It could be literally anything. However you are showing up, that's pretty much taking away something from you that you could be investing back into yourself. So sit and be honest with yourself about what those things or those people may be, And you'll have to decide, like, are these people that you want to completely cut out of your life, or are these people that you want to like set new boundaries with, or things that you want to set new boundaries with. Be honest about what it is that you can tolerate and what it is that you can implement from an honest perspective of moving forward. Like, if you know that you telling this person like, hey, I'm no longer going to be able to show up in X, Y, and Z ways, and they're going to retaliate in a way that pretty much depletes even more energy from you, because now you're arguing, you're fussing, they don't want to like respect the new boundary, then you might just need to cut them out of your life entirely. And I'm not saying that this is going to be easy. Like I always say, nothing, like, changing itself is just normally not easy, but it's always something that's going to pay off in the long run if you know that you're doing it for the betterment of yourself and your life. So, you know, you just have to swallow the bullet and just do it. Just do it like Nike. Just do it. Because the longer that you take to start making these changes, is the more time, the more energy, and the more resources that you're putting out that isn't being like replenished within yourself. So as much as you might think like, oh, I'm still showing up for myself in X, Y, and Z ways, I'm telling you now, when you take those things and those people out of your reality, or you set those new boundaries and you create the distance that's necessary for you to really show up for yourself and stand on business with yourself, you'll see how much more energy you have, how much more time you have to dedicate to things that you've probably been putting off for way too long. And honestly, this doesn't even have to be just about achieving goals. It could honestly just be about resting. Because if you're one of those people that's like, you always want to show up and you always want to be on the scene, and you feel like you doing these things are you showing how much you love and appreciate and care for the people around you, that's all fine and dandy. But if you know that this is something that's depleting your energy and taking away from what you need to be doing for yourself, then resting, catching up on rest, is just as essential for the betterment of your overall self. So don't even think like, in those moments, like, let's say you do implement this, which I hope you do, but let's say you implement this and you start feeling guilty because you told somebody that you didn't have, you know, the time to engage in something anymore, or you no longer want to be a part of something anymore because you feel like it was taking too much of your time or your energy away from you. You now can go ahead and rest guilt-free, because you were lacking that. You didn't tell them that as an excuse because you don't want to be around them anymore. This is your body telling you, like, if the first thing you go to is to lay in your bed when you tell somebody that you no longer want to do something or be a part of something, or you can't show up for something anymore, the first thing you run to is your bed. That is your body telling you, like, girl, you was burnt out. And we're going to talk on burnout on another topic or another episode. But you was burnt out, and what you need for yourself, standing on business for yourself right now, looks like getting an adequate amount of rest to be able to recharge, regroup, and refocus so that you can take aligned action moving forward, whether that's another week from now, next month, however long you may need. But don't feel guilty about things that might seem like, oh, I could have been doing this, or I was already doing this before I tried to enforce this boundary. No, it's still very important. You just didn't prioritize that thing in that moment. And that's why it might seem silly to you, or it might feel like something that was insignificant, and that you could have still had that same group of people or person around where you were showing up and showing out for them however often, and putting yourself on the back burner. Now, for those of us who may be in denial and think like, oh, I stand on business with myself, let's be real here. I'm gonna go through the list of distractions that I've accumulated from this LinkedIn article that I browsed through. And when I say standing on business, just to reinforce the meaning of what I'm saying, I am talking about you are valuing your time, your energy, and your resources. Whatever you bring to the table in other relationships outside of your personal relationship with yourself, you are valuing these things just as much or even more with yourself. And if any of these distractions relate to you, then it's time to do an audit. which I just talked about what is it that you might need to cut out, or who is it that you might need to cut out or limit access to, well, their access to you in your life. So the first thing on here is social media. No surprise, no shocker there. And this is what the ranking of what I'm saying is how it was ranked in the article. Now, I don't know if this was based off of any statistic of like this is proven to be the top distraction, but I'm just reading it just how it came off the article. So the first thing is social media. And applying this to my personal self, there's been several times, and I know this is the case for a lot of people because I hear a lot of people talking about this. There's been several times where I say that I'm tired, I go lay down, I'm supposed to be taking a nap, but I'm scrolling on my phone. And I be on Instagram more than any other social media platform, Instagram and YouTube. I'm not really big on TikTok. I recently made my TikTok like about a month ago probably, and I was consistent on there for about a week of just trying to like post and engage, but that's a work in progress. But you can audit whatever and look at your screen time. I don't know if Androids offer that, functionality, but on iPhones, you can look at your screen time to see which of the apps are taking most of your attention. And you can set like parameters of how long you can be on the app before it pretty much pushes you off. You can also override that. So there are other apps that you can download to pretty much regulate how often you're on these apps. But whatever is taking most of your time in the form of consumption of social media, whether you're a tweeter, a TikToker, and even if you're not a TikToker from the standpoint of creating TikTok videos, but you're just continuously consuming TikToks, whatever it is, Instagram, whatever, you need to go ahead and pretty much try to put in play like how often a day you're going to be on these apps in terms of time, in terms of the time of day, all of those things. Because regardless of what you want to convince yourself of, you pretty much looking through your timelines and tweeting nonstop throughout the day, like if you're not getting paid for that, then it's absolutely ridiculous. And there's way better uses of your time. So if you really value yourself and the goals that you have for yourself, then go ahead and really like be intentional about how often you're going to be on social media. If you're tired, then why are you scrolling social media? If you need to be working out, then you can scroll social media if you're going on like a little walk or something, and that could be like a little treat to yourself. But realistically, like the things that you are replacing with social media, that you should be doing this, your time should be going here, your energy should be going here, and you're scrolling social media instead, you need to be honest with yourself about what it is that those things are that's being put on the back burner, and find a way to implement just more control over yourself. Like how often will you actually be on social media? Another way that social media is a distraction is a lot of people compare themselves to the people that they follow, or maybe not even follow, because not now on Instagram and for a while now they show you people content that you don't follow more than the people that you follow. So if you know that comparison is something that pretty much like distracts you in the sense of making you feel inadequate, or like you just can't achieve whatever it is that you're going after, then perhaps social media is a distraction that you might need to cut out entirely. Take a like hiatus or something. I remember back in 2021 when I was going through depression, I went on a hiatus from social media for months at a time, because I just felt like I was being shown so much content of things, like happy things, that I felt like were robbed from me. And so, like I'm saying, you have to be super honest about how these things are influencing you and your everyday lives. So comparison is another way for social media to be a distraction that takes away your time and your energy. In the last part with social media, which is also going to circle into another one of these distractions, is proving yourself, thinking that you have to be perceived a certain type of way by the people that's following you. I mean, honestly, y'all, like, my target audience is adults, like anywhere between the age of 18 and I'd say 35. So I could be as real as I need to be. proving yourself to people, whether they know you or don't know you, is just so stupid. You have nothing to prove to nobody but yourself, because at the end of the day, if you putting on a show for people to think that you live in a certain type of lifestyle, that you're a certain type of person, and that's not your actual reality, it's going to show. It's going to show. And I feel like people that be the loudest and making the most noise, like, they really don't be having it like that. So it's really just stupid to be trying to live a facade online, because if the people know you in real life, then they more than likely know that this is not exactly the type of person that you are. Like, whether you're trying to act like you got money, or you trying to act like you're this type of fun girl or fun guy, or whatever it is that you're trying to portray, if that's really not who you are, then the people that know you know that you putting on, and the people that don't know you don't care. So just stop it and focus that time and energy into yourself, into actually cultivating the person that you want to become into your actual reality. The next distraction of our time and energy is regrets. Oh my gosh, I don't live with regrets, but I have people in my life that do, and they focus on the past so much so that they get stuck in the past. And I think that's really where depression stems from, is like you not being able to get over things that have happened in your past. But guys, everybody have a past, and people are not proud of everything that has happened in their past, but that doesn't mean that you have to regret it. I feel like it's important to just understand, like, okay, this is something that I wish never happened, but it happened, and just accept it. What did you take away from it? You had to have a learning lesson. And if you can't really assess like anything to be grateful for from that experience, anything that you can take away as a lesson, then just choose to forget it. Like, you're not going to be able to forget what actually happened, but just accept that it's already happened, and the only thing you can do is move forward. Like, if you just continue to dwell on that thing, then how is that serving you? You're putting all this time and energy and attention into something that's already passed, and you can't go back in time and change it. So I feel like if that's something that's a distraction for you, that's taken away from you showing up as your best self every day, because you're just sitting here just haunted by the things that have already happened, that may be a bad decision that you've made, or like a bad experience that you've had. Like, you're taking away the joy that you can be experiencing today, and the time that you can be putting into bettering like yourself to have better experiences in the future. So that's what I have to say about regrets. And then the next distraction on here is grudges. I told myself, and I've been telling people for the longest time, that I don't hold grudges, and I like to believe that that's true, but I don't know. Y'all can tell me in the comments if this is holding a grudge, because I don't feel like I'm distracted by holding grudges, because I kind of just be like, it is what it is. I'm not nonchalant. I feel things very deeply, but I mean, it is what it is. Similar to what I was just saying about regret, it's like, I feel like you can't dwell on things that's already said and done. They're already set in stone. The time has passed. It's time to move on. But when it comes to me, like, if somebody has wronged me, I can forgive you, but that don't necessarily mean that I want you to be a part of my experience again. It all just depends on the level of betrayal, or like how intense of a falling out, what words were exchanged. Like, I don't feel like I hold grudges, but I just will never mess with you the same again. So I feel like that's not really holding grudges. That's kind of just more of a self-respect thing. Like, I'm not going to allow you to have the same amount of access to me or be a part of my life anymore if I feel like you're not going to show up how I need you to show up. But I feel like people that hold grudges, they're like harping on what's already happened between them and somebody else, and they feel betrayed, or they feel neglected, or they feel unseen, and like somebody mistreated them in some kind of way, and they hate that person so much so that they're putting so much time and attention into that person still. You're still talking about this person and how they wronged you. You're still going to check on this person's page and just praying on their downfall and things like that. And I feel like that's how I perceive grudges to be. If I'm wrong, y'all can let me know. But I definitely feel like grudges are something that's very distracting, because you're taking the attention away from yourself and still hoarding, which is funny to use that word, because I have a devotional journal that was given to me by one of my work moms. And before breaking up with my boyfriend, I did that journal entry for the day about hoarding, and it was talking about how we hoarder things more than like physical items. We hoarder people, we hoarder experiences just in our brains by thinking about them so much when they no longer add value to our lives. And so I feel like, in a sense, that's what grudges are. They're hoarding emotions that are unpleasant, that's taking you out of what you could be experiencing today, that's taking you out of being in a space to being open and receiving of positive people and experiences in your life, because you're probably also translating the grudges that you have towards somebody else into not being open to people coming into your life, thinking like they'll betray you the same, they'll mistreat you in the same ways. And that's not the case. But I feel like if you hold those beliefs, then you're altering your reality in a sense, because regardless of how people, like new people in your life, show up, you're still thinking about what has happened to you by somebody of your past, and not giving those people a fair chance to really like impacts you in a positive way. So yes, distractions of time and energy can definitely be you holding grudges. The next thing, which was my favorite thing on the list, honestly, because I feel like a lot of the times we don't even consider relationships toxic when they are toxic. And I guess I can go deeper into this in an episode of itself, but toxic relationships, that is definitely a major distraction of our time and energy, because just think about all of the back and forth that's included in a toxic relationship. All of you crying and questioning yourself and just doing things to get back at the other person so they can feel the way that you felt. Like, you're not pouring into yourself at all. And that's why I had to exit my relationship. I personally don't feel like my relationship was toxic, but I felt like it was starting to take a toll on my mental and my emotional state, and that in itself was toxic, because I wasn't clear on what was going on, and the dynamic has shifted so much so that now I was, hurting basically inside, and I wanted to not hurt him, but because I was expressing how I felt, and I felt like no behaviors were really changing, I felt like I wasn't valued. I felt like my emotions and my feelings weren't being respected. And so in a way, like, I was starting to curate things that I could do to hurt him in those same ways, even though he's not the same type of person as me in terms of like feeling things as deeply. But I did know that he had a certain sensitivity when it came to me. And so I do also know what I can say or what I can do to really like hurt him. But I didn't want to really stoop that low. But realistically, like, it took a lot of time and energy out of me. It took a lot of energy out of me. If you remember, if you're somebody that tunes in on a regular, and the video is still posted, but I posted a video about just being stressed and feeling burnt out and stuff. And I feel like that was something that was catering into me feeling that way. But standing on business, guys, like, as much as you love somebody, there's times where you have to love and leave those people where they at. If they are sucking too much energy out of you, then you have to go. And I'm not saying to neglect people and to just walk out of people's lives, because sometimes they may actually need you, and that's what having a community is for, so that you can lean on people when you're going through things. But people that are just taking energy out of you, you're showing that you're there for them. They know that you're there for them, but they're not being open, they're not being vulnerable, they're not being transparent. In some situations, yes, you can just give them distance, and that's fine. But in others, where you're in close proximity to this person from an emotional standpoint, the way that I was with my ex-boyfriend, you have to leave. You just have to love that person from a distance and leave them where they at, so that they can figure themselves out. There's so much time and energy that I've wasted in that situation of like things just being different and things just being weird, because I was trying to get answers. I was trying to do whatever I felt like I could do to put us back in that space that we were in, where things were healthy and things were enjoyable and just fun and lighthearted. But nothing I was saying or doing seemed to have any impact on what the actual like reality of things was. So in my head, that was something that had became toxic. Now, other relationships, that toxicity looks completely different. You might be getting verbally, mentally, emotionally, or even physically abused. You might be funding a lifestyle that's depleting you of being able to fund your own dreams and aspirations. You might be doing so many other things where you're pretty much like just somebody's punching bag, or just somebody's something that they don't really even value, but you're just like a placeholder. You're just there in their lives for them to take basically. And instead of leaving you alone, they're just stringing you along because you're allowing them to, and you're not really showcasing your self-respect. When you respect yourself, people don't got no choice but to get with it or get lost. And that's something that I pride myself on, because realistically, as much as I am like a very sentimental person and I love to keep people near and dear to me, like my friendships have been stemming for 10 plus years. And I love them people down. Like my mama and my daddy birthed them. Like they my blood relatives. But there's been times where I've had to distance myself or completely cut people out of my life, because as much as I love you, it's obvious that you don't love me the same. And it's a hard pill to swallow, guys, but you just have to have these real talks with yourself, because you will be depleting yourself of so much energy and so much just like life and light. And these people don't care. If they cared, they wouldn't be behaving in the ways that they are. So you just have to be real with yourself. Like, if you know that you continuously, communication is important for sure. Sometimes people are going through things and that makes them, you know, not show up how they need to be showing up in the relationship, whether they normally show up in that way or they never showed up in that way. But it's important for communication to be there so that you can ask them like, hey, what's up? What's going on? And you can extend them grace when necessary. But if you find yourself continuously extending grace to people, and they're just continuing to deplete you of what you need in order to show up for yourself in the best ways, they have to go. That is toxic. That is toxic. They're taking, and they're not giving you anything. That is toxic. So you just have to let it go. It's too much of a distraction. And if you keep them around, you're not standing on business. The next distraction is pursuit of perfection. We talked about this in the fear of failure video, so I won't say too much about it. But yeah, realistically, there's no such thing as perfect. There's not a perfect time to start something that you want to start. There's not a perfect time to do anything under the sun. So you just got to do it. You just got to do it, and do it to the best of your ability, and let it be that, because you're always going to be learning and evolving in things that you're continuing to pursue. So if you feel like you could do better, then make the next one better. But you don't have to try to be perfect at this one thing on this one go every single time. Like, just let it be what it is. You gave it your best, and that's all you can do. And if you're sitting here striving for perfection and you're pretty much ignoring other obligations and other projects and other things and all the other important things that's in your life because you want this one thing to be perfect, that is a distraction. And now you're not standing on business because you're neglecting other elements of your life that need more time, energy, and attention out of you. Opinions of others. This circles back to the social media topic, because like I was saying, when you sitting here trying to put on and you pretty much trying to prove yourself as something that you're really not, then you are looking for the approval of other people, and you're valuing the opinions of other people more than you value yourself. And that sounds like something extreme to say, but just think about it. If you value yourself, then you're going to be putting more time, energy, and attention into curating the perfect version of yourself. Perfect used lightly, obviously, because we just said there's no such thing. But you're going to be putting more focus on bettering yourself wholeheartedly, like actually doing the work, versus putting on for people that don't know you and hoping that you're being perceived in this favorable light. But who cares if you are? Because exactly what is somebody having a positive perception of you that's actually not doing anything for you in your real life? What is that doing for you? How is in any way is that serving you? And why is that something that is put on a pedestal? Like, why do y'all care so much? And I'm saying y'all because I don't care. Quite frankly, I don't even be posting on my page like that. And that's been kind of like hurting me and growing with my community for transparency. But like, that's a work in progress. And that's besides the topic. But yeah, like, why do y'all care so much about what other people think about you that you really don't know in real life? And if you do know in real life, like, if you have to care that much about how somebody perceives you and the opinions that they have of you, so much so that you're not being your authentic self, are you happy? Are you okay? Like, that's very much giving people pleaser. And we talked about that already. Like, you're just not winning, baby. You being a loser. If you care so much about the opinions of other people, so much so that you're sacrificing who you actually are for their approval, you're a loser. Sorry. But you don't have to be. You don't have to be. So don't listen. Don't think that I'm just sitting here coming at your neck. The choice is yours. But you are a loser. And if you don't want to be a loser no more, just stop caring about what other people think about you. And do you. Do you. The people that need to be in your life, that God intended to be in your life, are going to be attracted to who you are authentically. So just do you. The next distraction is poor boundaries. We talked about this in people pleasing as well. And yes, when you're standing on business with yourself, you have to have strong boundaries. You have to have strong boundaries. Because, and I'm not talking about, oh, you're telling people like, oh, don't do this, I'm not accepting that. But strong boundaries with yourself, meaning that you are not allowing yourself to overindulge in things that are not serving you. So yes, it's okay to have leisure time. It's okay to go out with your friends. It's okay to have a couple of drinks on the weekend. Like, whatever it is that you enjoy doing, it's okay to do those things, but in moderation. So the boundaries come in place when you're overindulging, you're over consuming in the things that you enjoy, so much so that now the things that are actually very important in moving the needle forward, you are not giving your time, energy, and attention into those things. So if you know that you're somebody that loves to watch TV and you find yourself binging shows on end, watching movies like anytime you have some free time, but there's things that you want to get done, then the boundaries come in place with saying like, okay, I know I need to get X, Y, and Z done, but I also want to watch this show. So when will I watch this show? Maybe you going to walk on a treadmill. You can watch the show on the treadmill. Maybe your guilty pleasure is food. Like, you love overindulging in food. Like, you'll eat fast food. You go out to eat a lot. And you know how to cook, but you just don't be cooking because it's more convenient to just go buy it. Setting strong boundaries with yourself in that regard is saying like, okay, I'll eat out once a week. And for all the other things that I crave and I know that I like to eat, I'll go ahead and make a grocery list and buy these things and set aside the time to spend with myself and cook. I mean, it might not taste the same the first time, but if you try and try again, baby, you might get it right. So that's just another distraction of time and energy that takes away from standing on business with yourself. So I'll leave it there. There were a couple of more, but I'll leave it there because I feel like that was a very extensive list and you guys get what I'm saying. So to recap, standing on business is basically you moving confidently towards the goals that you have for yourself and pretty much removing anything or anybody who is coming in the way between you and achieving those things. So it's important to take audit, and the questions that I want to leave you with that we discussed throughout this video are, what does showing up for yourself look like? That's the first question. What does it look like to show up for yourself? What things about you need more attention that you've been putting on the back burner because you're depleted from doing X, Y, and Z for everyone else? Or not even necessarily everyone else, but you're just putting more attention into things that don't serve you, like scrolling on social media for hours, binge watching TV, like just doing silly little things that are not moving you forward in any capacity. The second question, how are you putting yourself in positions to achieve your goals? Are you signing up for courses? Are you going to networking events? Are you fostering healthy and like real relationships? Because a lot of relationships, I feel like, can be superficial. I'm not going to say are superficial, but can be superficial because a lot of people do not have real intentions these days. And it's sucks to say that, but I feel like I've noticed, and I feel like that's also why I cling to my personal circle so much, because I feel very confident about the people that I have around me because they are real. Like, and those that I feel like haven't been real or just don't show up the same the way that I show up for them, they're gone. And they might not necessarily be completely out of my life. Like, we might still follow each other on social media and comment on each other's things here and there, but they're not close enough to me to really impact my energy levels or take away any of my time because I'm now doing things with them or for them. But yeah, you just have to really audit what is it that you're doing to achieve your goals. And when it comes to the relationships thing, like, if you feel like something is superficial, and it could be you being superficial or it could be the other person, but you assess if something is superficial by basically asking yourself, like, is this something that's going to stand the test of time, or is it something that somebody is trying to gain, and that somebody could be you or the other person? Like, is there just something that's trying to be achieved for the moment, or is this something that can really like grow into something, blossom into something that's real, that has substance? But yeah, are you putting yourself in position? Are you changing the habits that you have that have been holding you back? That might be drinking excessively, that might be staying up late, that might be waking up too late, that might be not working out, that might be eating fast food every day. Like, regardless of what the thing is, because the thing is going to be dependent on what your goals are, but you just have to assess what are your goals and what is it that you're doing. And what is it that you're doing is going to be broken down into what are you doing to move you forward and align with those goals, and what are you doing that's pretty much moving you in the opposite direction from achieving those goals. And the next thing is what people, things, or habits are getting too much of your time and attention without reciprocating the same. So that's been basically brought up after every point in this video. I don't feel like I have to break that down in any way. But yeah, if you feel like too much time, attention, energy, resources, anything coming from you is being given to other things or other people, and those things or people are not pouring back into you, let it go, because you are now playing in your own face. You know you're not gaining anything from this. You know that it's not doing anything for you. It's not serving you in any capacity. And you still continue to give it your focus, your time, and your attention. That's not self-love. That's not self-respect. And people can honestly see that, and they're just going to continue playing in your face because you're playing in your own face. So cut it out. As much as we might wish we can go back in time, we can't, and we never will be able to. So really just like love yourself enough to do what's necessary to bring about the change in your life that you really, really want. And if things don't align, if people don't align, let them go. Let them go. You might miss them now, but you won't miss them when things start to change for the better, because you'll realize like they had to go. They had to go. And you'll be just fine without them, because once upon a time they wasn't part of your reality anyways. So I'll leave you with that. And I'm sending you off with love and encouragement that you can stand on business. If you feel like you're not confident enough, baby, we'll talk about confidence in another episode. But I'm telling you now that you have confidence within you to tell yourself, not even tell anybody else anything, but to tell yourself that I love you so much that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this work for us. And by us, I mean the person that you have inside of you, the little girl, the little boy, the person of your future that you see yourself being. I love you so much that I'm going to do this for us. So I send you off with light, with love, and I hope that everybody has an enjoyable weekend and week ahead. And yeah, that's all I got. Toodles.